We don't have everybody here yet, but I think we had several questions about GitHub that, hey, episode one's all about GitHub. And why didn't we learn how to do GitHub perfectly the first time? And that is a totally great question to ask. Um, so what I wanted to do is answer that question. And the answer to that question is really, I'm just opening up class. And again, I'm a little bit tired, so just give me some grace on this. Um, and I thought I built a thing called class. Give me a second. And I'm going to share my screen here. Just bear with me. Oh, there we go. Okay. So the larger lesson is this. We are not going to know things about how to work with Claude Code. And that's that's to be expected. And the thing that you need to do whenever you don't know something is to just ask Claude how to do it and be declarative about your lack of knowledge. And whoops, we're going to walk through that. And what I think we're going to do for funsies, I don't have a GitHub account for the SEO community yet. So let's make one and we'll walk through that so that you can kind of see the whole process start to finish. And we'll have it documented, right? So everybody can kind of see it. I don't think that's GitHub. GitHub.com. I'm going to go here and I'm going to sign out. And I'm going to sign out from all my accounts and I'm going to, whoops, I'm going to sign up. And if you do not have one of these yet, if you don't have a GitHub account, this will really help you. We talked about connecting to GitHub last time. And I'm going to do it inside of incognito just to like make my life easy so that I don't have to worry about different account logins getting in the way. Sign up. I'm going to continue with Google. If you guys do not have a password saver thing yet, I use Bitwarden and I'm a huge fan. Our work does not, and I was trying to remember there are so many. Maybe I already have an account for that email address. That's so bizarre. Okay, so then choose an account. Um, Sign in or continue with Google. Why won't it let me do it? Create an account. I'm gonna make a rando account. Ugh. I don't have one for that yet, so I'll just make that. Okay. So that was two Octobers. Okay, this is looking very promising. Is an existing email. Do you want to enable Google sign in for branch tools? Email unlink or sign in. Want to use this email with another account, sign in a branch tool, or use email unlink if you don't have account. Oh, come on. This is going to be just a hoot. I have like so many email accounts. It's shocking to me that it would be this difficult for me to figure this out. Um, Maybe that's because I have too many. Is this one?
Are you willing to use a plus sign?
It won't let me do that, I don't think.
Oh,
Um, Well, guys, you can create a GitHub account. I think that's like the actual creation of an account part you can handle. I think that's probably we'll just call it beyond the scope and we'll just pretend that you have an account. But we'll go over the whole like we could not validate the response for your social login provider. No, is an existing email insert. Do you want to enable Google sign in for Sterling Sky? Yes. Great. Okay, so we're going to um, do this here. The thing that you need to do is connect via HTTPS, unless you only have one account, in which case SSH setup is going to be a good idea. I'll show you how to get these two things connected. This is my account. It's called Sterling Sky, and we're going to connect to GitHub to Sterling Sky. And in fact, I believe I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to use my personal account instead, just so um, just so we don't have to like, ooh, look what I got. I got Jordan Chu over here. We're going to connect to Noah Learner. That's going to be a better concept to work with here. Okay. Hi there. I know nothing. I know nothing about GitHub, but I know I need version control for this repo. How can we set that up to connect to my GitHub account called Noah Learner? And spelling's important. I think it's case sensitive, but I'm not positive on that. So I'm just going to pretend it's case sensitive. I'm going to let my dogs out of the room. They're going to be annoying. Okay. So, so we already have Git set up in this because we set up the repo last time. Your local repo has Git set up and has at least one commit. You just need to connect it to a remote repository on GitHub. Let me check the current state. And it says, hey, we're already connected to Sterling Sky. And we did that last time. I don't know if you remember that, but we did it last time because I needed a project that had API stuff turned on already. And I already had credit card billing and all that stuff set up for a Sterling Sky thing. And I wasn't going to do anything that cost Sterling Sky any money. So I connected to a project that was already set up. That's why we did it that way last time. It says logged into GitHub account SERPfire. Account is active, true. Your repo is already connected to Sterling Sky class on GitHub, which is the remote repository that we created as the remote called origin. This is important. When you're working locally, you're just doing Git or whatever in your local repository. And when you're pushing code out, you're like saving stuff locally. You do something called adding, which is when you're adding those files to be tracked. And then when you make changes, you commit changes. And then when you want to push your code up to GitHub, you do a command called push. You don't need to memorize the syntax for how to do all this stuff. You can just tell Claude, hey, add, commit, push, and it'll do all the syntax and push it for you. The reason why this is important down the road, there's someone waiting to get in named Cheyenne. The reason why this is important down the road is that when we get good at this, we're going to set up tooling that allows us to just push to go to GitHub. And then from there, it'll push to whatever cloud tool you want, whether it's Google Cloud, Heroku, Vercel, whatever. And you can push directly to those things too. But I love using something called Cloud Build and GitHub Actions when I'm pushing to Google Cloud projects. And what it means is all I have to do is manage my pushing to GitHub, and then it gets distributed wherever I want it to go. So, where do I want to push this repo? Well, I want to push it to Noah Learner, right? Because I want to keep stuff out of work. And I'm going to go boom. Your repo, let me switch to the Noah Learner account, create the repo, and connect everything. It's now running a bash command which says GitHub, which is a command line thing for GitHub that's already working. Note to self, if you don't have GitHub installed on your command line, it'll say at that point, we need to install GitHub, and it'll do that. It'll install the command line utility for GitHub. Because Cloud Code is really smart. And you'll see the command GitHub auth, which is authentication, switch to the user Noah Learner. Should the repo be public or private? Let's make it public. Do we have anything in there that's important? No, because we're gonna have our git ignore stuff is gonna remove Clasp files, I believe. Let's make sure. It's removing the Claude folder. So that means that this stuff, Claude stuff, and I also don't want my clasp.json. Whoops. Clasp. Clasp.json. And some people will do things like, hey, I don't want to put like a whole bunch of stuff. They'll put a ton of things to git ignore, like all of their API keys, stuff like that. Um, okay, so we're gonna make it actually no, yeah, I want to make it public so you guys can play with it. Um, and this is like I want to remind you of a weird gotcha when you're working in Claude Code, where sometimes if you're over here and you try and click down here, it won't let you. So just click above and then come back down, or click up here and come back down. And I'm going to make it public. Okay. And then we're going to run this command, and it's going to error. And it's erroring because it's probably trying to connect via um, because it was trying to connect via SSH, I think. And instead, we're going to use HTTPS, I believe. And the fact that I don't see red tells me that it worked. And then I'm going to go over to GitHub, and I'm going to go to repos, class. Okay, so for the folks who had questions about GitHub last time, was this good enough for an intro for you? I need to hear you.
Can you cover? I think where I get lost is the terminology.
Yeah.
There's You said there's add. So
Yep.
you're doing stuff locally. There's add, which is gonna kind of queue it up to
Be tracked
be tracked. Okay.
in version control. Hey, these are the files I care about.
Yeah.
That's what you're tracking. And if you do a command like git add, like if you're actually typing it, git add space plus, that's track everything.
Okay.
You can also track individual files. Like you can list the files. But generally, you can just let Claude deal with that stuff.
Okay.
You don't have to think about it. Um, if you do something like add a text file to your GitHub repo, and it's like these are all my API keys and all my bank account stuff and blah blah blah, and it's like you name it something like whatever, test.txt, it's not going to know that there's all these API keys in there, or maybe it will and warn you, but don't do that. Like do not put stuff that's sensitive in a public repo, period. Like that's just good. And if you have a question like, hey, what the heck does Noah mean by that? Ask Claude and it'll solve the problem for you.
Okay. Okay. So just like you've got git add, and then
Yep.
commit means you're setting it up to upload, and then push.
actually takes the files and pushes them up to the destination.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the opposite is pull.
Yeah.
Which is, hey, I want to go get the stuff from the repo. And then there's another command called clone. Like, hey, I'm going around inside GitHub searching for things. I find myself on Jordan Chu's page. And by the way, you want the cheat code to like getting started with the Vue app. Jordan Chu's repo is pretty badass. And please tell me this is you, Jordan. I want to find the user. Search all of GitHub. Do I do @ How do I find users? Oh, 4. Yeah. And then this is his Claude Code starter that for building an app with Vue.js, and it's set up using beads and OpenSpec, and it's pretty rad. And he has this thing called MCP agent mail, so agents can talk to each other. It's really neat. So you can find a repo and you go up to the code thing and you can connect to it via HTTPS, and you can say, do this copy thing and just come back in. And I'm going to make a new folder and I'm going to call it and I'm probably being stupid about how I do this, so that's fine. Save. And I'm going to start Claude Code over here. If it lets me. Yes. And I'm going to say, hey, I love this repo from my pal Jordan Chu. Can you please clone it into this folder? Sorry, Jordan, on the misspelling of the name via auto type. And watch, it's going to pull all the files in over here. Bam. How cool is that? This is the magic of GitHub. Hey, I just pulled an entire application into my computer. How sick is that? So that's clone. That's like super powerful command. You need to know that. And I didn't tell it any of the syntax, right? I just said, hey, I love this repo. Can you please clone it into this folder? And it was really good at it and just pulled it right in. Okay. So file, open folder. We're going to go back to class. At this point, how are we feeling about GitHub? As just like I think you're going to learn so much by osmosis, but I mean, like, I think that answers the beginning piece of like, you make an account, it's going to ask you to set up billing, and I would do that. And the reason why you want to do that is there's some extra tools that come with a paid account. You can totally rock a free account. There are limits on public versus private stuff, and there's some extra tooling that come along with it, and it's $8 a month. It's like, I think it's worth paying $8 a month for. You do not need to do it, but you can. So git push u origin main. Do you want to proceed? Yes. Whoops. This is what I was talking about with the can't selecting thing. So click down here. Yes. And you see this command down here just to remind you about this stuff. Yes, and don't ask again for git push commands. I want to give it the ability to do pushes without asking me. You could make what's going on? Oh, right. I killed Claude. And we're gonna show you another crazy important command, resume. And it's gonna say, what session do you want to resume? And it's this one from here. which is, hi there, I know nothing about GitHub. And you can go backwards in time to find all your conversations from the past. And it'll start that conversation again. And I'm going to hit continue because it wanted to push and I stopped it. And I'm going to go yes. And don't ask for, what is it doing? Get users class remote V. Oh, wow. Cool. So it's checking to see what its remote is. The remote is now pointing to no alert class. Now it's asking me, do I want to push? Because that's what we were doing right before we quit. And I say yes. If I had said yes and don't ask for similar commands again, just to remind you what that would have done, it would have pushed it into a list of commands that I want it to be able to do. And you could go online and look for smart Claude settings setups and manually review all those commands that are in other people's setups. You're not going to know yet like what's smart or stupid to pull in, but it's just like a reference to say like, hey, I can find this somewhere. And you could again ask Claude like, hey, what would make my life easy so that I don't have to, so that you don't have to ask me permissions for everything, but is also secure. Um, from here on in, and it teaches me, right? It's saying, hey, the remote updated. The origin now points to GitHub Noah Learner class JIT. Code pushed. Your main branch and its commit history are now in GitHub. Tracking is set up. Your local main branch tracks origin main. You can view your repo at Noah Learner class. From here on in, the basic workflow is make changes locally. Ask me to commit them. And you can use, I actually made a slash command for commit. Ask me, and we'll get into, I'm starting to teach you slash commands. Ask me to push when you're ready and send them to GitHub. Okay.
And
How
these
we feeling?
commands like exceed this session. It's forever, or it's only in the session you're in.
These things?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kyle has a question.
these are tied to the project.
Okay, so you don't have to retell it anything next time.
Correct. It's in the file structure, so it's always saved.
Yeah, I
And
was kind of referring to the when you give it the option to say like remember this one, two, or three. One is yes, two is yes, but remember this and don't ask again.
yeah,
Is that don't ask again perpetual after you close the session down?
yes, and it's
Okay.
written to this file.
That's what gets saved up there. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. So every time you do that, have the mindset of how can I make my workflow easier in the future? And is this secure? That's it's like easy and secure are always the things that are kind of balancing each other. More GitHub questions. You're going to learn a lot by osmosis, but I wanted you to understand like it's not crazy scary. SSH setup, go online and learn how to do it. If you're only going to have one user on your computer, it will make your life easier. And the reason why is that you'll only have to log in once. With HTTPS, you're going to have to authenticate periodically with GitHub, but it's not a big deal. It's just like a sign up flow. It'll open an auth login, which is like it'll open a Chrome window or whatever your main browser window is. And it'll say like, log in with this account or another account. And you pick the account you want to log into, and it'll say, great, you're connected to GitHub. And when it gives you the auth login, inside Claude Code, it'll say, copy this code first and then hit enter. And when you hit, I think that's what it'll do. And you hit enter, and then it opens the window and you have to paste the code in. And then you hit enter there, and it says, great, you're authenticated with GitHub. And then you just keep working away at that point. Does that make sense? So we've talked about authentication with GitHub. We've talked about the basic concepts of adding, committing, pushing. Pulling is when you're pulling the code down. It's similar to cloning, but it's just pulling down the changes from the same branch that you're working in. And remember, by default, you're on what's called the main branch. And then when you start working on a new thing, you can create a new branch, keeping everything that's in the main branch untouched. So if you mess stuff up in the other branch, no biggie, no risk, right? The stuff that lives in my application is in my main branch. The other stuff has to get merged. You create what's called a pull request, a PR, and the PR gets merged into the main branch. Now, guys, this is probably confusing, but what's really important about this, if you're working in an agency environment and not in-house, is that this is how agile methodology, what we're learning is Claude Code, but we're also learning the agile methodology. And if you're going to work in an SEO product environment, this is how they work. They work in agile. And so we're learning how to think like an SEO product manager so that if you ever want to apply to that kind of job, you'll have at least an understanding of the like how they talk about the workflow. So you won't sound like a fucking idiot coming from an agency environment, right? Like there's so much stuff where they talk about sprints, they talk about all this stuff that you have no idea what they mean by any of that. So this will help us agency peeps sound a little bit smarter. Okay. The point of today's class, or whatever we want to call it, Codalon, was to learn tmux. I don't think Robin's in the room though, is he? No. I know that Jordan has invested a ton of time learning about tmux. I don't want to put him on the spot though. So I think there's more to do with what we're doing though, right? And last class we started working on something with Search Console. And we started building a fun little Sheets application that was super entry. Hey, we just want to grab some data from Search Console and we want to write it to a Google Sheet. And we did that using Sterling Sky as an account, I believe. Did we do that? No, I think we used, it doesn't matter. I didn't show any client data and I didn't show any data. I'm going to change this so it's connected to an account that Noah Learner is associated with, but actually it should be associated. Yeah, we'll connect it to Noah Learner. I think I have Search Console accounts. I'm just going to confirm real quick and come up with questions while I'm doing this because it'll take just a second. Let's see if I have accounts. Let's see if he got clicks. Yay! My brother's website got a click. So we're going to connect to Village Tree LLC. And I'm going to make a Google Sheet and we're going to switch projects. Do you remember how we had an Appscript project that was tied to that old Google Sheet? Well, we're going to do the same dang thing with a different user. And we're hopeful. Ooh, I've never seen it look like that. That was cool. Don't do an access denied. Let's see. So sheets.google.com. Okay. Order. Blank spreadsheet. Extensions. Appscript, please work. Olé! Okay. So we're going to grab this little thing here. And we're going to change some data, which we then have to push up to GitHub. We have to modify in our code. And it's going to do it for us, by the way, which is nice. I'm going to say, cool. I need to switch. Why don't I just do this? Switch to a different Appscript project called. That's bizarre. Switch to a different Appscript project called. That better work. Okay, that's weird. I was surprised it didn't just show me the text. Let me check the current Appscript setup first. It's now looking at clasp.json. I'll update it, and it shows me, just to remind you guys, red and green, saying, hey, this is the old script ID. I'm going to change it from the old one to the new one. Do you want me to make this edit? Do you also want to allow all edits during the session? Yes. I do want to monitor changes, so I didn't choose it. Cool. Now let me pull down the code from that project. Couldn't find the script. Did I, are you logged in the correct? Awesome. Check this out. It's saying Clasp login status. Okay, I gotta make this much bigger so you can see all the stuff that's happening. This is a perfect example of the kind of bullshit that you're gonna run into all the time doing this stuff, and I want you to see how smart Claude Code is about it. It says Clasp login status, and it says you're logged in as Noah at Sterling Sky. And it tells me that. And then it says the script ID belongs to a different Google account. You need to log into that one. The script ID has a typo. Double check the ID. No. It's saying this error means either A, you need to switch accounts, or it's wrong. So I want to re-log in, right? I want to log in to the correct account. And I also have to make sure I'm down here. And I wasn't somehow. And now it'll give me an off login window. And I switch to Noah Learner. So you're thinking it looks like I'm an idiot and I'm just like doing all this random crap. But these right here, I'm showing you the BS and how to think about the BS. And that part is priceless because these are like the roadblocks and the things that you'll spin your wheels about and then like end up searching like, oh shit, what did he say? But like, we got it on video now. The shit's documented. Okay, close the window, make your life easy. Come back. Hey, you're logged in. It pulled files. There were no files to pull. You're now connected. Cool. Now push via Clasp or just via Clasp. And now I go back over to my sheet and I reload. Maybe it was too quick. There we go. So now I go over to my Google Sheet that we built last week and let's see how it works. I got to reload it. I should have a little menu here. Takes like 3 seconds to load the menu. And I might need to install the menu from inside Appscript. I don't remember what it said we had to do here. So we'll go to code, search console. Oh, yeah. Project settings. Actually, so Google Cloud Project is controlled console.cloud.google.com. I'm going to switch to Noah Learner. And I'm going to use a tool, a cloud project that I made forever ago. And I need to grab the project number from right there. And I know that I have Search Console connected to this. At least I hope I do. If I don't, I'll show you how to install that as an API in Google Cloud, which is really important. It's got to go green. Oh, weird. It didn't go green. That's weird. So now it's either going to work or I'm going to get errors and we'll see. This is kind of BS you have to deal with. I'm just waiting to see if the menu populates. And if it doesn't, I think I have to just remind myself what's going on. Okay. I don't see a menu function. Sheet helpers. So I think this is lame that we don't have a menu button, just saying. So I want to show you how to build this because it's like a foundational Appscript thing. And I know you're like, wait, I want to build something cool. Doing stuff in Google Sheets is going to make your life so easy. And learning how to do this is going to help you get so much simple work done. Proof of concept-y stuff. So just bear with me on this. Hey, this app needs a menu. Can you please make a new file called menu.js and add a simple menu that allows me to run all the functions from inside the script? So it's going to build a menu for us. Oh, let me read the files, see what functions are available. Now I can see the public functions. Let me also check if there's any existing on open triggers. That's like a trigger that happens when you open the sheet. The existing code references a search console menu in the instructions to the setting sheet. I'll create the menu.js with an open trigger. I was sure we had one last time in the other thing. I'm surprised. Hit enter. It just built the menu.js, and I want to show it to you because it's kind of a fun thing to see. Again, we don't need to know how to code this stuff, and you don't even know what it means, but I'm going to tell you. There's a function called onOpen. Spreadsheet app is Google's language in Appscript for stuff having to do with this with spreadsheet API. And can you not let Jim's thing in? Create a menu called Search Console. Add an item called List My Properties, and it shows you in the first thing, it's what it shows to the user, and in the second thing is the function. So I could change this to whatever I want. I could get rid of the numbers. I could add emojis or whatever these things are up here in your, I forget what they're called. Add separator that will create a line underneath these two things, and then it'll add another list item that says open settings, and it'll open a settings tab. Okay. And I think it's going to say that it already pushed for me. Look, it already pushed. And it gave me just a quick reminder of all the stuff that we built. So I go back over, go to my spreadsheet, reload it. 2 or 3 seconds later, I'll have a menu. If I'm lucky, bam, Search Console, just like it said. List my properties. And that's going to create a hidden sheet, I think. And it's running Appscript, which means that this project has Appscript. Okay. API request failed with status. Request had insufficient authentication scopes. So this is awesome. What it means is access token scope insufficient. So I'm going to just paste this in and see what Claude tells me. And I know what I need to do, but I just want to show you the problem solving. So the Appscript manifest file should be right here. And whoops, it's saying, do I want to make the change? You can't see the change, but watch what happens when I hit yes. And I'm going to come down here and say yes and allow all edits during the session. Look, it added auth scopes for me now. And those are authentication scopes that allow the script to do stuff via apps, via Google APIs. And these can turn into gotchas. And the gotcha is it can make up fake Appscript authentication scopes that don't exist. So that's like a gotcha. If you're like, get in a cycle where it's like, oh, that doesn't exist, you can then ask Claude, are you sure that's an authentication scope? Perform a web search. And that last part of that sentence, perform a web search, write that down. Like anytime you think Claude is confused, perform a web search. Have it ground its knowledge in the world versus what it thinks exists. It doesn't get lost very often, but as we talked about last week, it thought that Google Search Console was an advanced service. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that didn't exist, right? Are you finding this useful, by the way, guys? Give me some feedback. Is this boring or is this good? And I need audio feedback.
Good.
Okay.
And working with TypeScript and Google Sheets, I can't speak for it being more important and how much time it can save. As you know, I've worked in it significantly and it is amazing. So appreciate this.
Oh, yeah. Google's well, this stuff is not TypeScript. This is just
Appscript. Sorry.
yeah. But okay, let's see. Did it push our stuff? Yeah, it did. Cool. Now what we're going to do behind the scenes for funsies is we're just going to go confirm, because what the hell? Why not? And check it out. I can't see the manifest. Remember? We were over here. I showed you the manifest. Wherever it is. It's right here. Oh, appscript.json is what it's called. And I can't see it here. What the hell? Why do I have it in my computer, but I can't see it in Appscript? You hit project settings, show appscript.json. Go back to the code editor. Oh, maybe I should just show you guys really quickly, just so you can get your mind wrapped around all the shit that happens in Appscript. Project has history is going to show you like the version controlled versions of stuff that you've built, but you have to name versions for them to get tracked in Appscript. I don't do a lot of stuff here. Triggers, these are very useful for doing anything in an automated fashion. You build functions in the back end, and then you can make things that run every hour, every day, every month, every week, whatever. Executions is really useful for debugging purposes. Because shit's going to break all the time. And so this is how we debug it. You'll open up a function, and then it should show you details of what went wrong. And if you don't have logs going, that's an indicator that you might want to add something called console logging to your functions. And that's a great kind of defensive thing to learn how to do. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our sheet, and we're going to get, oh, sorry, I didn't really close the loop there. And then project settings, you got to know what's going on here too. Yes, we want to log stuff and send it to cloud logs. This actually matters, the time zone, depending on who the consumer of the application is going to be. If you live in Denver and all of your team leadership lives in the East Coast time zone, you probably want to set this to the East Coast time zone. You don't matter, they do, right? The enable Chrome V8 runtime is checked by default. There were 2 runtimes. The old one got pushed away in 21 or 22. So just leave that alone. I always want to see the appscript.json file because I got to see all the auth scopes, and I got to know what's in that file, and it has to be easy for me to find. The script has an ID, and you'll notice that it's right up here too. It's the same thing that's up there. So you can copy it easily from here and not have to do the weird putting your mouse in there. We have now tied it from it's now no longer a standalone script. It's now something that's tied to a project. And what that means is that this app script can now use all of the APIs that are associated with that project that's set up in Google Cloud. And it's limited to that. So if I want to connect to BigQuery and BigQuery is not turned on, and we'll go look at those APIs so that you can kind of see them, how to turn them on and off and all that kind of stuff. You can add script properties here. So like, you could put API keys and stuff like that there. But if someone gets into your, they hack into your account because your password is password, they're going to see that stuff here. So just know that. Okay. We good on that? This is
No,
foundational, but you're going to love knowing this stuff later. Yeah.
no, I'm sorry because I just joined back in, but you already covered like you're pushing from Claude into the code files here somehow.
Yes. And it's something
Okay.
called Clasp. It's really easy.
Okay, got it. I'll find it.
Yeah, but it's 2 things. Clasp is very limited. That's the thing to know. It's just push, pull, push,
Okay.
pull. Yeah. You're not doing the add commit stuff. It's just push, pull.
Okay, thank you.
And when you're in the editor, there are some Chrome extensions that allow you to work locally or just to work from GitHub to this. And that's very useful because you can have a repo that lives in GitHub that you can kind of like clone over and over and over again into different spreadsheets. And you can find those. This is an example of one. It's I forget what it's called. Is it this thing? I think it's this one. I don't know. Doesn't matter. We'll come back to that. I'll try and find the link and
Okay.
share it.
That's super helpful. I was just copying and pasting code from
Yeah.
files into Appscript yesterday,
That's the
so
worst.
thank you.
Yeah. The Clasp is the shit. The thing you're looking up to learn more about is Clasp. And we talked about it last week, Ben. It's in last week's recording too. And it stands
Okay,
for
thanks.
command line app script, I don't know, protocol maybe. Okay, so I got my menu. I list my properties. Authorization required. And this is important. We just added new authentication scopes. Every time you add a new authentication scope in a Google product, it's going to demand that you authenticate into it. So I click OK. It gives me the thing. Give me permissions. Fun fact, everybody, if you've ever heard of Postomatic, the tool that I built for, actually, I got to give Jordan credit. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, goody. Check this out. Claude made a mistake. It didn't give me enough authentication scopes. Now, there's two ways to solve this. I could ask Claude to fix it, or I could just go fix it. And in this case, I'm just going to go fix it because I don't need to wait for Claude to do this. There we go. No, I don't need that. I double did it by accident. Tab. Oh yeah, fuck it. Let's send mail too. So I just broke a really good rule, which is don't add extra permissions, but I'm doing it anyway because we might want to send our Search Console data to a teammate down the road, and that'll be useful. And I also want to build an application later that we're going to build together that's going to seem boring to you, but it's one that we use in Sterling Sky, which is we send data to people about events that happen and things that matter to them. And one example is call tracking. Hey, you missed these calls yesterday. You connect to CallRail, you use the CallRail API, you find all the calls that were missing for a client, you put them in a sheet, you use that sheet as the source, you send all that call data via email. If they didn't miss if they didn't miss calls, you send them a different email. That kind of thing. Super, super useful. I've talked about it at conferences a bunch. Let's see. So now, because I did the change, Claude doesn't know that there's changes, right? I mean, it's not sensing it yet. Class push. I'm using shorthand. I'm making it run the thing. Did you see how it said echo yes? So it's saying yes to the question of, do you want to push an overwrite? It said yes to the answer that was coming, which is pretty rad. So now I reload again and I go Search Console, list my properties. Authorization required. There's two new scopes. Google hasn't verified the app to sensitive information until the developer. Where am I? Wait a minute. Whoa. Until if you're the advanced, go to automation, continue. Fetching properties. Done. Okay, so we need to open our settings. So we go search menu, open settings. And it says, which property do I want to do? Did it say A2? Copy URL and paste it. Go to Search Console, list my properties in the menu above. This seems kind of stupid, doesn't it? That I'd have to like go to multiple sheets. So I think this is the perfect place to add a drop down. And this is part of like doing this kind of stuff. Like you got to have a drop down. And I'm going to manually add one, but I also need the code to know about adding it. because if it's going to recreate this sheet over and over again, potentially, I need to make sure that Claude knows to push the same Google function into that cell. So what are we doing? We're doing data validation, and we're going to add a rule to settings A2, and we're going to do a drop down from a range, and we're going to go to our properties, and we're going to say A2 to A. We're going to go, we're going to hit this thingy, and we're going to go properties. Well, I can just select it like this. And then do you see how it types it into A2 to A6? I don't want to do that. I want to go A2 to A so that I'm future proofing me getting more properties. So I go, and what that means is A2 and all of the column to get A. That's what the A represents. Okay. So I go back to my settings sheet, and now I got a drop down, and it's a chip. I don't really like chips, so I'm going to go advanced. I'm going to turn it into an arrow because I'm a tool, and bim, bada, boom. And I go Village Tree LLC, which is my brother's site. And what are we going to do? We're going to go, this gives us access to the search data from, let's see if this is automatically a date. No, it's not. So I'm going to go format, and I'm going to turn it from a number to a date. Except I don't want that format because it does, because Search Console expects it in this format. So I go format number. That format is really important where you're getting data from Search Console. Same thing over here, format number this. Now when I double click it, boom, I got a date picker. Now we're rocking. We go Search Console, fetch query data. And there's like no data, so it's going to be really quick. Whoa, 3 queries. Josh is stoked. He got a click. That's really exciting. We've just done something kind of cool. We've unlocked an API. We're getting data that matters to us. We don't necessarily like the data, meaning it's not super useful, right? But it's a fantastic building block, I think. So now some things that I would probably do every single time, I'd go view, freeze, 1 row. And I'd probably go to settings, do the exact same thing, except I'm going to freeze 2 rows, 2 rows. Okay. And then I got a menu kind of thing here. And then to make it easy for me to understand that this is something that matters, I'm going to go like that so that I can see that these are the things that I want to do stuff. Okay. I think that's a good stopping place, and then we can get to questions. Do you guys feel like are you feeling more connected to what I'm saying via osmosis? Like, are we getting it? A little bit? And just for clarity, we are all on a journey together. This shit is scary. It's hard. It's foreign. And that's totally cool and expected. But you're going to have these moments where you go, oh, ooh, along the way, and you're going to go, ooh, I get it now. And it's going to take a little while, but just stay with me. I'm going to like continue to like hit these roadblocks, and it's all about knowing what to ask the thing to do when you hit the roadblock. And it's just being curious. And anytime you're confused, asking the thing questions. And if you get the perception that Claude doesn't know what it's doing, what were the 3 words? Perform a web search. Have it ground its knowledge in reality. Go look at Appscript documentation. I don't think that advanced service exists. I don't think we have the correct authentication scopes. I think we need different authentication scopes. Go perform a web search. What scope should I use? A scope is basically like Google has tons and tons and tons of different APIs and endpoints that they can store, that users can ask questions to and get information back. And the scope limits the user's ability to see things to just a specific endpoint that Google is allowing them to see. And the user has to authentication to every single one of those different endpoints. And it manages information kind of securely that way. Does that all make sense? Who's got questions? If anyone.
I have a question, Noah.
Yes.
Have you already talked about how to manage Claude's permissions? And what I mean by that is I've found myself just having to grant approval for all these commands. And I even created like regex expressions to supposedly green light stuff, and it's like still coming back and it just wants permission all the time. So is there a halfway point between that and like nuclear, just give it everything?
Yeah, you don't want to do that. The give it
Yeah.
everything. So Claude settings happen in two places. They happen at the project level,
Mhm.
and then they happen at the user level. So like your computer user, and those are like basically, think of those as global, right? And so if you always want to allow Clasp on every single project that you ever work in, you would do that at the user level.
Have you ever had bugs with this where you think you've allowed something and it isn't?
Yeah, and then you're using Claude to go, go edit my settings file. I need you to
Okay.
audit the settings file. Is it valid?
Okay.
Yeah. And there is that like specificity. There's a specificity piece. Like right here, this is saying um bash git, I don't know what the C stands for. In this folder, the class folder, you can always go check what the remote version that we're connected to. Like, hey, you can always run hey, what Git remote are we connected to without asking me. Now this one is great because it says bash clasp : star, which means you can run all Clasp commands. That's what the star stands for. So when you look in your settings folder or file, and you look at this and you see like long ass command that's very, very specific and you want to make it more general, you can like either ask Claude to help you make your rules less specific and make them more general, or you can go in there and manually add them, like clasp : star or whatever the command is. And it might, I forget if I don't know if these settings, if you have to restart Claude for them to take effect, that might be the case. A lot of stuff in Claude is you'll create a thing like a slash command or a hook or something, and you need to restart it to take effect. There's a lot of questions in chat. I didn't even look at these. Okay. Let me just look through these if there's anything that I missed. Okay, so Paul was with us. Um,
I think we got to Kyle's question.
okay, did we get them all?
I think so.
Okay, cool. Then I don't
Ask again if we have not, folks.
Yeah. So this is a happy sharing tree, guys. The reason that I posted on LinkedIn yesterday about my personal struggles with like overcommitting and all this stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen my whole mojo online, but I'm pretty fucking vulnerable. And I'm not telling you to be vulnerable, but I want you to know that you can ask me anything and I'm not going to judge you. I'm here to help. I'm here, my favorite 3 words are make me smarter. And I want you to embrace that. I want you to just be absolutely 100% okay to just make me smarter about blah. There is no wrong question. We're not dumb. We just don't know the stuff yet. And that's like the mantra that I want all of us to embrace. Make me smarter. And if you can approach all of, any kind of lack of knowledge around anything with that kind of mindset, it's going to be, your learning is going to accelerate like crazy, and you're going to get more out of people. You're just going to bridge gaps and get closer with other folks and just learn more quickly. And people will appreciate that about you, I think. Okay, so what I want to do in coming classes, we're going to take this thing and we're going to add a sidebar. And that stuff that's in the settings, we're going to move into a sidebar that lives on the side. And then it's going to work just like the, what is it called? Search Console for Sheets, or whatever that Appscript add-on is that came out a long, long time ago that had a 5,000 row limit. Fuck that. We're going to have a 50,000, we're going to have tons and tons of rows of data. And then we can pull that into Looker Studio. And now we've got a data source for Looker Studio. So we're automating tooling to then grab data that we can then visualize to make strategic decisions. And we're building basically a simple way to get data for us to ask questions and see things. Does that make sense? Are we stoked?
Yep.
Hi, Brad. Oh, I'm going to stop sharing. I think we can stop recording too.